vary so much. It's amazing. Yeah. It's about trying to, you and I talking together to try and bring it down to one sentence. And also, of course, with German language. So.
He's really interesting. This guy is Finnish. He's talking.
He's Finnish, yeah.
He has very something like very deep in his eyes. Like, so it's very like, whoa, what are you saying? I don't understand it, but you're really insist.
But I think it's because he's very direct.
Yeah.
You know?
It feels like he really means what he's saying.
He does. Yeah. It's about finding somewhere that for you symbolizes or speaks about whatever it is you want to say. So the guy who says, I apologize for using beach words, he went to the place where he said,
I apologize.
there he is. The thing that hasn't.
Ymmärrätkö, mitä sanoit näille ihmisille? On satuttanut heitä hyvin paljon.
Or that you know that they won't listen, or you know that you won't have the courage to say it to their face, or it may be something that you need to say.
I apologize for using the word bitch when addressing you.
To speak to a version of you that works. Yeah. And I think it's also about thinking about if you were to see projects in 3 years' time, see the video. What's the video you would see in that video? Hi. Hi there. So you saw the videos yesterday. And what came up for you? What did you think of what you saw?
Well, I think it was very interesting to imagine what narratives were behind the statements. And I was thinking about what you said, that it's adding it to history. So there's also an opportunity for a viewer to place that statement in their own lives somewhere. And some of them are quite general, so it seems like
Broad application.
yes, that most people would be able to apply that, wishing they had said that specific thing someplace in their own lives. But then once it's been said, you know, you would want to say something different as your own statement, that's already been added. So in that way, a communal history is also being built.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting.
And did any of them provoke anything for you?
Let's see if I can remember some of them. It seemed like a lot of them dealt with romantic issues, that when people are emotionally wrought in some kind of way, they're not able to communicate as clearly as they'd like.
Yep.
So they're looking back on those times with regret. There was the old woman who said, can we just go outside and play? Which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
And that had some application in my own life also. So I could imagine maybe where that was coming from.
Yeah. It's always really interesting for me to hear what people have implied, and because there's the double archive, I watch the video, I make the videos, and the videos are there for the public to see, but I know the full context, and often the very windy story and narrative and road to get to them is often quite different to what people are reading, so that's kind of really interesting.
Yeah.
And did you have a little bit of a, you know, you sort of began the process, I guess, in a way yesterday. Did you have a chance to think about what it is that you might like to say?
I didn't think so much about that. I guess I was more experiencing the videos as an audience member or as, you know, someone kind of analyzing the work. But I was also talking about that with some people yesterday, that performance art requires if there's some kind of personal narrative, and this was sort of, did you see the Andre Stitt lecture last night? He was also, it was kind of like when you go through Alcoholics Anonymous, then you tell like the story of your past, like your entire life and how you got to this point. And that a piece of work is sort of a cross-section of someone's place in their life. Like even if for them the work is about something else, it's still like, this is the point where that body is in their own experiences. But it requires, but it requires a viewer, or, you know, it's the whole like Peter Byrne idea, blah, blah blah. To sort of make that object then to say yes, this is a performance,
and to activate it in that particular way.
Right. So
Yeah.
I was really focusing yesterday on trying to be the activator. I guess it's like, 'cause, you know, that, you know, you as an artist need people to watch this piece of work as kind of an object also.
And also the participants need viewers.
Right.
So, you know, it's again this doubling, it's this doubling the project the whole time. But I'm really interested to move away a little bit from us analysing and critiquing the project,
of course.
and to think instead about a personal response that you might have, or what it might provoke for you personally, given that sort of, right now we have the opportunity for you to add something to the archive.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, perhaps if I tell you about why it's called what it's called. The project's called This Time You're Winning. And the reason that I call it that is that's the name I give to two scenarios, both of which involve people talking to themselves. And I've sort of held on to this phrase for a long time. The first is, you know, when you see someone walking down the street by themselves and they're having an argument, and conventionally we would call them crazy.
Yeah.
They seem to be having an argument. It's quite animated, but it does seem as though they're winning. You know, and I believe quite firmly, based on my own experience with my own memory and that compulsion to speak out loud, that often I believe that they've had that argument many times before, but this time they're winning. But because they're publicly and alone rehearsing and re-scripting and rewriting that, revising. So that's sort of the ultimate kind of uber idea of the project. But I also realised this morning, one of the reasons why I've made this project is because of I woke up because people have been saying to me, "What video would you make?" Yeah. And I had thought for ages, "Oh, I'm not going to do it. I've got to go to Australia, and it's going to be about my dad and da da da." But it's actually about I'm going to make it as soon as I get back to Berlin. And I was in bed crying about it this morning because when I went to Berlin the first time in 2001, I had this very short, very amazing love affair. And it was wild, it was amazing, it was beautiful, it was magic, it was electric, all those things. There was very little shared language. But after a few days, he had to go and see his grandfather watch the soccer. And so we said goodbye. He's like, "We have to see each other again. I want to see you tomorrow." I'm like, "Of course, I'm in love with you, I'm in love with you." And etc. I didn't actually say that, but that's what was inside. And we swapped phone numbers, and so we're going to hook up the next day. 2001, I was sort of in a different phase of my life to the one I'm in now. I went out and sort of celebrated this amazing love by getting wasted, and then going back to the place where I was staying. There were new people staying in the room with me. Sort of met them briefly. I passed out on the bed with my phone in one hand and my purse in the other, and I woke up and my phone and my cards were gone from my purse, which meant that I had lost his number and wouldn't be able to receive his call. Yeah. His place was somewhere in Prince Lauberg. And, you know, we went there in the dark. We left a few days later in the dark. I had no idea. Right. And so very quickly, it's like, "I'm running out of money. This is a disaster. I'm going home." But I realised this morning that the video that I would really like to make is for this guy and to say, "I have never forgotten you." So yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. There's some ideas around what it is, and I'm wondering if perhaps that helps you think of something that triggers something for you. Do you talk to yourself?
Constantly. I mean, I live in New York City. Everyone talks to themselves all the time. Constantly.
Because there's just not enough people.
Right, yeah.
You need to add to the voice. Yeah, right.
No, I think it's that you kind of don't seem crazy if you're walking around talking to yourself. You know, like if you're going to an interview or something, it's perfectly acceptable to just kind of rehearse that out loud. Yeah. So I mean, I was thinking there's kind of a division, right, between things that I wish I had said, because it would have made the situation clearer, or that it would have like resolved something, and things I wish I would said because I want the other person to have some kind of emotional response.
More of a provocation.
Yeah, or that I wish I had been more, like that I'd stood up for myself more emotionally in some kind of way.
Can you think of any examples?
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned your dad, because right before I left for this trip to Europe, my dad's wife, whom I really detest, she's like stepmother in a lot of ways. I hope she never sees this video.
Yeah.
But she left a message on my Facebook wall saying, you know, you really should call your father. He wants to talk to you. And I was like, what do you know? And it's funny because he never calls me, like ever. I haven't talked to him since like December. And I have to call. He will never pick up the phone and call me. But then he always acts like, you know, I'm being a horrible daughter because I didn't call him.
Yeah.
So I
it's
guess
leverage.
Right. Yeah. But I think he doesn't know why I don't really feel like being in contact with him. Like I've never really successfully communicated that he chose this woman over his children, you know, for one thing, and I'm the oldest, so he kind of left me with the other kids. That there's that.
Left you to kind of parent in a way.
Right, and that he would, you know, like go with her wherever and then just leave us at home, or that he decided. My parents got divorced. That he would not have us for a week. He, you know, he would say he was going to have us that weekend and then never show up to pick us up because he was doing something with her. So there's definitely something in that area that I would express.
Do you know? Can you think vaguely about what it is? Like not being so concerned with getting it down to one sentence right now, but just, you know, what is that thing that you want to say about why you don't call?
I think I think probably most personally it would be that he doesn't like he doubts my sense of reality. So it might be something like, please stop calling me crazy, you know? Like or, you know, if you're going to place a lot of responsibility on someone, it's very counteractive then to doubt their ability to do things. You know, like it's kind of, it should be obvious to him by now that I pretty much have my, you know, that I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Or, you know, that I'm not just an artist because I'm crazy. It's been something that I've been doing since I was very small. Right, and it's very like clear and sane in my own world, not necessarily. So yeah, maybe something in that area.
Do you feel that you would ever say these things to him?
I guess I don't know why I would, or in what situation I would. I once threw an apple at him.
Which was intended to say all those things.
Right, yeah.
How clear. Because I think one of the things that drives people to make these videos is that the thing that they want to say, for whatever reason, just won't be heard otherwise. Because either they won't find, they know that it's unlikely that they'll find the courage to say it. The person's no longer physically able to hear because they're A, dead, or B, something else.
70 years old and living in a suburb.
They're gone, you know, mentally gone, or it's something they need to say to themselves that requires, you know, the screen and the camera for the otherness to happen. So it's about, locating that thing that you think that it's highly likely you wouldn't say otherwise, or that by making the video you would enable yourself to say it in a way that you wouldn't have otherwise. I mean, I'm thinking if that's someone that you haven't spoken to for 6 months and you rarely speak, then it may be unlikely that you say these things.
Yeah, I think that's 100% not going to happen.
Wow. Okay. That's a high probability. And so what do you think? Let's be clear about that. What do you think? What feels like the phrase? What feels like the thing?
I don't know. I just thought of it. This is fun. This is really interesting. I'm more like you than you think I am.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know, which is true.
Yeah. And how does that feel for you?
I don't know.
I don't know. Ask him. He's more like me than I think I am, or something.
Right.
Yeah. I'm more like you than you think I am. Do you want to write that down?
Yeah.
So, does this feel like it's your phrase?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. So, the next, I mean, it's neat, it's compact. Often with people, they need to write a lot and then we cross things out and we get to it. So this is lovely. And very clear, which is good because it's strong and it's distilled. The next thing to think about is how you would frame the video. Because as you've seen, people have different backgrounds and different actions. And so some people go to the space or the site where this past conversation or confrontation did or didn't happen. Or some people do something a bit more symbolic. I'm guessing that you and your dad have never been in Denmark together. No,
he's never been out of the United States.
Okay, so what are you thinking for a backdrop? What's an elemental thing that we could find and put behind you? Bricks and there's cement and there's stairs and there's wood in the little stage thing.
Yeah, I think maybe like maybe by that big tree. Yeah. He's a forester.
Okay.
So I always think about like he's the one who taught me what plants are, which makes me feel at home wherever I am. So you can always identify what the plants are.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that.
Okay, that's pretty clear as well.
Yeah.
Great. Are you happy to make a video?
Sure.
Great.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, let's do it.
So rolling, I'll let you know that you're rolling. I'd like you to just cycle through a couple of breaths. Take your time. Let the words just come up and out when you feel right. Down the camera. And once you've said them, try and maintain the gaze of the camera for as long as you can. Okay. And we can always go again after that.
I kind of did that happen.
I'm more like you than you think I am. It's more difficult to say.
How about you say it a couple of times? How did it feel to start saying it?
Don't worry, I'm not going to try.
Cry if you want to. We're going to cry. Okay, are you ready? And roll it.
I'm more like you than you think I am.
Are you happy with that? Yeah. Come on down, maybe.
I think I'm alright.
Good. Take off.